The Dissatisfaction Dividend, a short video regarding the current state of online education in Colorado, with recommendations for future steps to further the success of Colorado online education. There is a lot of information about the successes and failures of online education in Colorado, and while there are many positive elements, there are also some areas that need to be amended and changed to ensure future success in this arena. Currently, much of the available data through the Colorado Department of Education suggests that there are a few specific areas of concern, the largest being the amount of K-12 students enrolling and then dropping out of the October 1st date, and the need to ensure the authenticity of student work. We'll take a short look at what the current data specifically shows, and then explore ways that the state legislature can ensure standardization between traditional and online education. Let's first examine the concern of ensuring authenticity. One of the challenges online educators currently face is whether or not students are submitting and completing authentic work. The risk for increased plagiarism, cheating, and inauthentic projects is significantly higher in the online environment because it is significantly harder to monitor students when you can't physically interact with them. Yet there are some safeguards and practices that can be put into place to ensure that students authentically complete their online courses. In any classroom environment, the student-teacher relationship is imperative to ensure authenticity. The more an instructor knows about their students, the more the students will feel connected to and responsible for their own learning. Additionally, the use of consistent progress checks on assignments and the monitoring of the learning management system can help instructors maintain these professional relationships and ensure authenticity. It is difficult to require teachers to use these methods. One step that schools, districts, and even the state legislature can take is to change the standards requiring the way formative assessments are given. Instead of assigning tasks that could be completed by anyone, assignments that require a video or audio element, conferences with the instructor, or time constraints make it incredibly difficult for students to cheat or plagiarize. Additionally, proctored face-to-face exams or the creation of physical or virtual products are also much harder to plagiarize. By putting into the state standards that assessments must be completed in a way that makes it difficult to inauthentically complete, we can help to ensure that the problem is eradicated. Here are some examples of good and bad assessments for online instructors to use in terms of authenticity.
Next, we'll be talking about the dropout rate of online students. There are two different areas I will talk about. One, those that drop out permanently, and two, those that will go back to the brick and mortar school. Those students that are in an online situation are 3 times as likely to drop out than those that are in the brick and mortar school. 1 out of 8 online students will drop out permanently. There is some research for the reasons why students drop out. Many of the students are already at risk, and so they consider it a last resort. Second, students are wanting a new learning process. Third, there is not much supervision at home from parents when students are working home alone. Fourth, the solitude of students associating with online isn't what they expected, looking at a computer all day long. And last but not least, the needs of students are not being met. The second dropout rate is those that are going back to the brick and mortar school. Half of online students will go back to brick and mortar school within the first year. Many of the students will go back to the brick and mortar school after October count, which is difficult for the brick and mortar school from a funding aspect. And this is where the huge concern is with the schools, is trying to find funding when we've got a huge amount of students that are going back to brick and mortar after the online count. Some of the suggestions that I found through my research was we need a better recruitment process. Many of the students are going online thinking that it's going to be an easy credit and realizing it's more difficult than what they anticipate, and then go back before the semester is over with and lose many of the credits. Second, we need to realize that there is a student-teacher relationship that needs to be enforced like there is in a normal classroom. Students need to buy in with their education, and with that relationship there is more of a buy-in. And third, we need to look at effective teacher training and make sure that our teachers are trained in order to effectively teach our students.
All right, now it is time for us to look at the last part of our presentation, where we are going to look at the different ways to possibly standardize, or maybe standardization isn't always the best route to some of the things we're looking at, with the problems that we're seeing in the authenticity of students who are taking online courses, and also the big problem of the dropouts. So we're going to kind of bring it all together, look at what can be done as far as standardizing some of these things, and what is going to need to maybe a little different route in order to cover it. So bringing it together, there's things like, for example, the authenticity of assignments, that if you look at the national standards for quality of online sources, or the INACOL, it's kind of the governing rubric, you could say, of what is what are the expectations of online learning. When you look at their document, they have a more, and I included a document right there for you to look at, but they have these expectations for academic integrity, but there are not specific examples of cheating that is not allowed. And so as we take from a big national standards of quality online courses to possibly regulating that in the state of Colorado, I do think that there are some possibilities here that you could standardize different things that we suggested. For example, types of assessments. You could regulate the different types and how many assessments they should be giving of each one, or even on the rubric including that these are types of cheating that need to be avoided, and if these types of cheating are seen, that there are going to be repercussions for that. So kind of letting them know that they're looking for there's different plagiarism and cheating, and not just this broad term, but being more specific as far as the standardization goes in the state of Colorado, adding on to that national online standards list. But that brings us kind of to this big question of standardizing or focus, like what is going to get it done, these things that are problems, and what exactly do we need to do. So, I mean, there's several suggestions that we've made in our presentation. The teacher training, recruitment of students, getting the right student to come to the online learning, not getting a student who is destined to not be successful at this type of learning. Also, all these suggestions for best practices for assessments, and then also just monetary problems with the October 1st problems. How much of that can really truly be standardized? We look at I read the national or the international online learning standards, and I don't know how much of that can be put into a rubric. You have to recruit this way, or here is how you have to do your assessment. So maybe it needs to go to a certain type of teacher training in the state of Colorado, where there are outlets for people to understand, hey, here are the issues and here are the best practices that you can use. And I don't know if that needs to go into like a standardization document, that needs to be widespread across all different types of K through 12 online programs, because it is such a wide variety. And so I think that really is a big question. And I would lean more towards, you're going to need to focus some of these things into suggestions, or some type of training, or maybe a school that goes beneath a certain CSAP level is going to have to get taught with these different skills that obviously something that they're doing isn't working. So some type of penalty for their issues. And so I think that this is really a big question here.